Hello, and
Hello.
welcome to. Hi guys for watching. We're here to ask the burning question of why I love Twin Peaks, or why my guest loves Twin Peaks too, obviously. And she's here with me now. It's Sandra. How are you? All the way from Australia,
I am. Hi, Frank. It's good to talk to you.
and you too. Where are you? It's Adelaide, isn't it? Is that right?
I am in Adelaide, yep, South Australia.
Yeah. And it's in the evening there because we're time traveling.
We are time traveling. It's 5:48, and I believe it's probably just after 9 o'clock where you are.
Yeah, it is five. Yeah, it's nearly the evening for you, and it's at the early morning for me. Yeah, it's
You've
bizarre.
got your coffee, and I've got my gin.
And you've got yeah, complete opposites. Yeah. Um, so I got to ask you. The first thing I want to ask you, Sandra, is when were you first aware of Twin Peaks? Did you watch it when it first came out, or was it later?
I was 14 and I was babysitting my sisters. My parents had gone out. They were doing something. I don't know what they were doing. But I was channel surfing and I stumbled across this show. I didn't know what it was. And it was this man and he's in the car and he's got a tape recorder and he says, Diane, I'm entering the town of Twin Peaks. And that was
Yeah.
my first introduction to Twin Peaks. And that's just been my thing for, however many years now, 35, whatever years.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had no idea the lead up to this. I didn't know what had happened to this, like before this scene. But I don't know. It was just something about him. And then the next scenes with him and Harry. And it just kind of rolled from there. And I became just obsessed with this show and I really wanted to watch it, but it was on at 9:30 at night. And I had school the next day. It was a Thursday night. And I had to really grovel and beg my dad to let me stay up and watch it because it would finish at around 10:30. And then by the time I went to sleep and had to get up to school the next day, he's like, fine, but if your grade starts to sleep, that's it. You're not allowed to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just loved it. I just, every Thursday night, it was a priority for me. I just wanted as much information as possible living in Australia. It wasn't like it is now where you just get so much information. You can just Google stuff now. I was going to the news agency and I wanted to kind of like read up on like magazine articles and things like that to find out as much information about this show. But
Yeah.
that's kind of how it started for me. And I just loved it. I got the books, Laura Palmer's diary, Agent Cooper's autobiography. I just and read them over and over and over again, and as many articles as I could. And even now, I have a folder that has all these different magazine articles that I cut out of all the actors,
Oh, really?
interviews and whatnot. And I've still got it. I don't know exactly where it is in my house, but I still have it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just something about that show. It was something that I'd like nothing I'd ever seen before, and I became hooked. Love it.
Yeah. Did you find that when the DVDs came out and stuff like that? Because I've heard that in Australia, you don't get things that quickly over there. It seems to be an awful long time before distribution happens for some reason. Was
Yeah.
that the same thing with Twin Peaks?
I would say so. I don't really remember,
Yeah.
when these things came out. I was trying to think today, when did I start watching season two? I don't think I watched it on TV. I think I saw it on VHS or
Ah,
DVD, something. I
yeah.
remember, I think that's when I watched it. I mean, I recall watching it now over and over again, but I don't think I watched it actually on TV. I'm not even sure if season two even came to Australia. I'd have to Google that to see. I really don't even remember.
Yeah.
I just remember season one and watching that, but having to rewatch the pilot when it came out on video or DVD, whatever it was, because I'd missed a chunk of it
Yeah.
before. Obviously, the first time I, turned the TV on, it was that scene with Agent Cooper in the car. So I don't remember even watching season two on actual TV. Maybe I did. I'm not really sure. But yeah, we took a long time to get stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember once it did come out on DVD or whatever it was, I would regularly go to the video store and hire the DVDs
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
watch them in one big binge watch. And
Yeah.
I've just
Yeah.
watched them so many times now, and now I have obviously my own copies and stuff. but yeah, just watched it over and over again and could recite line for line, all the dialogue and
Yeah.
loved it.
There's an awful lot of good quotable lines in it, isn't there?
Oh, there
You could
is.
rattle them off, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
And
now you watch it again and you're like, oh, I didn't get that the first
yeah,
15
yeah, there's
times.
a lot of subtleties in it too that people you can miss, can't you?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think it's funny that no matter how many times you rewatch it, I always find you find something different. It seems to always reward you in some ways, doesn't it? You know,
Oh
it's
yeah.
extraordinary, really.
Absolutely. I found that in season three,
Yeah,
or the return, it definitely the more I watched it, and even now, I don't know how many times I've watched it through now, but there's always something. It's like you
yeah,
said, it's always like a little present or a little gift or something that you get after watching it that you didn't catch, even if it's just something subtle that you see in the background that you didn't notice before.
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you're focusing on other things, but
Series three probably more well. I say that, but I mean, the original series still brings up some surprises even now.
yeah,
I think I look at it sometimes, think, how did I miss that, or or whatever, or something a character got in the background, or something you don't spot, but
yes.
it's there for, purposely there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Nothing's
Um,
by accident.
no, there's no accidents. With
No.
David Lynch is concerned, there's no accidents.
No, that's right.
Everything is
Exactly.
there for a reason. Don't you worry about it that
Yes,
way. He
it
doesn't
is.
leave
Very
anything,
true.
by chance.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Although having said that, he did have a few happy accidents himself, didn't he? Because Bob wasn't originally cast, the
No,
character.
he wasn't. No.
That happened by pure fluke, really.
Yeah. Well, he was a
Um,
set designer, wasn't he? Set decorator, and he
he
was just
was,
kind of
yeah,
in the
yeah,
background, and the camera's kind of panned over, and you can see him in the mirror.
yeah. That
And
wasn't meant to
yeah,
happen,
it,
but it
yeah,
made it into the cut.
yeah.
See, it's
Well, have
interesting.
you watched? You probably have. These are super questions, but David Lynch, like his Pretty as a Picture, the documentary Pretty as a Picture.
Oh, I have seen that. That's brilliant, by the
they
way. Yeah,
they
yeah,
chat about that exact scene and how that
yeah,
actually came about, and he says that the camera kind of panned around, and Peter, I think it was Peter Deming. No, Peter Deming wasn't the cinematographer. I think somebody else was, but I can't quite remember who he is. And said no, it's not right. That Frank Silver's kind of in the background, and David was just
yeah,
like, okay, well, we're leaving that in, and he became Bob.
yeah. I think he
Crazy.
said like, I want him in it, but I have no idea what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Because at that point, he hadn't even written
Yeah.
anything. There was no
Yeah.
character development. He thought,
Isn't that
well,
a shame?
now I've
Isn't
got to
that
work out, well,
amazing?
how I'm going to use him.
Yeah.
Um,
And he became the
and he
big
became
thing.
the,
How amazing is
the
that?
big killer.
Yeah, so
That
crazy.
it's and there's loads of different things that happen like that. That wasn't the only sort of time things happened that they were meant to be. Basically, I think you have to look at it like that. They're gifts that are given to a director or something.
Mm.
Right place, right time. It was just meant to be.
Yeah,
And look what
absolutely.
he became. He was frightened the hell out of us, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. He
Um,
was like the perfect Bob, really, when you think about it. Like,
yeah.
just his whole look, was just perfect for it.
But he wasn't a monster or anything, like that. He was just a guy with long hair in
Yeah,
denim, but he
yeah.
scared the shit out of people.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know?
He's, I don't think he'd even been in much. I think in the documentary, David says to him, are you an actor? And he's like, well, yes, I am. But I don't think he'd been in much.
I think he was
And
lying because
he was
people say
great,
that,
right?
don't
He
they?
was
Yeah, of course
natural,
I'm an
right?
actor, just
You know.
to get the job.
David Lynch says, "Are you an actor? You're an actor." You just say
Yeah.
yes.
I
But yeah,
mean,
it's insane. He was perfect for that role.
he
It's
was.
great. Mm.
And he didn't do many interviews, Frank Silver, but I did see a couple of rare interviews with him,
Yeah,
and it couldn't be any more different to
yeah,
Bob.
yeah.
He's the most funniest, most gentlemanly guy you could ever wish
Is there
to
an interview
see.
out there that I vaguely remember that he did with Cheryl Lee? Is that the one
Yeah,
that you're referring to? Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but that's kind of what popped into my head when you
Well, I
said
saw
that.
some footage of him at the only one appearance he did for the US Twin Peaks Fest, and they got virtually the whole interview online of him
Yeah, right.
talking to the crowd. It's the
Okay.
only time he ever went to it. because a couple of years later he died, sadly.
Yeah.
So this was a real rare moment to see him talking as himself for like
Oh,
30 or 40 minutes. It's a right gem, that one, I tell you.
wow. Yeah.
And
Okay.
he's
I'll have to.
hilarious, he's a really nice
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And he was funny and and then he was going into character every now and again, like being kind of spooky and stuff. He was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that
Yeah,
one.
you
I
want to
haven't
see
seen.
that. He's a real cool guy, I tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was really surprised to see that different side of him because you don't, I, I only saw him as Bob, I didn't see him as himself,
Yeah.
talking. And I was always
Wow.
curious about what he was like as a person.
Yeah.
And this is about the closest we'll ever get.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's a gem, that one.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
have to look that up. Hmm.
Same with Jack Nance as well, who played Pete
Yeah.
Martell. He only ever did one festival. And I think there's not very much, weirdly, there's not much recordings of him at it.
Yeah.
I'm sure
No.
someone's got it in private archive, private collection or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But there's only one little clip I saw, and I think of him talking at the fest, and he's outside somewhere, and it's only about a minute or something. But you get a kind of what he's like as a person. He's a little bit different,
Yeah.
not too much different, but a little bit.
Yeah.
He's still quirky in that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
very very deep voiced Southern drawl.
Yeah.
He had. I think that it was
Oh,
really
yeah, he
cool.
did
Yeah,
have that, didn't he? Yeah.
yeah.
He was such a great character, though. I'm so glad they were able to put him in season three in some way.
Yeah.
You know, that
See,
was
it's
really,
it's
really
it's
cool. I love
it's
that.
unfortunate you because you live so far away. You
Hmm.
never got to go to any festivals or anything, did you? Or did you?
No, I didn't. The only thing that happened, which I just adored, Cheryl Lee, Dana Ashbrook, Sabrina Sutherland, Michael Horse, um, and I can't think of his name right now, but I'll think of it later. They came to Australia and they did a whole heap of panel discussions.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to go to one,
Oh, you
and it
did?
was
Oh,
my
brilliant.
birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so thrilled. They had to change the venue, so it was a last minute venue change, but I was able to go and sit in the same room as them, and it
Oh,
was just
fantastic.
phenomenal. Oh, Kimmy Robinson was there as well, and they all were just right there, and I couldn't believe that I was breathing the same air as them. And I was probably maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 20 feet away from them. And yeah, they talked for 2 hours and answered a lot of questions and chatted about, the season three and obviously one and two, but their experiences with David. And I was so lucky that I was able to go there. And,
Yeah.
we weren't able to go and meet them. I weren't able to go and shake their hand. You obviously had to, get another kind of level of kind of access to them.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. It was just so awesome to be in the same room as these people that I had watched so many times over and over and over again,
Yeah.
and their characters I'd absolutely loved. So it was awesome to kind of
Oh, that's
sit and
great.
listen to their
Yeah,
experiences.
that's
And
awesome. Was that
yeah.
was that the one that was Hal Strobel at that one?
Yes, so he missed the Adelaide one because they
Because he
had
got
just
ill,
been
didn't he?
he
He
had a
fell ill.
stroke, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
The day of or the day before he was due to come to Adelaide.
Yeah.
But I remember Dana Ashbrook was posting photos on Insta. We have a beach called Glenelg here, and we've got a big red love heart. And he was posting a photo there, and I'm like, oh my God, he's in Adelaide. I was just in bloody
Yeah.
Glenelg, an hour away from me. I was so happy. But it
Yeah.
was great. They just seemed so gracious and so happy to be there. And they'd already done New Zealand and most of Australia at that point by the time they came to Adelaide. But it was so wonderful to
I bet it
experience.
was.
Yeah,
I was
it
so
was.
glad you went to that. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I was so
yeah,
pleased you got to see them. Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's
It was.
such a rarity for them to travel over there.
Oh,
Incredibly
absolutely.
rare.
Yeah, to do
Yeah.
that whole tour was just it was a real gift. It was awesome. I won't ever forget it, I think.
I hope they do it again.
I hope so.
It's
I
possible.
don't really can't really
I
hold
can
my
imagine
breath.
it's a
But
huge
then,
undertaking to organize something like that. I mean, that's not
oh,
easy.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
fly,
Yeah.
flying them over, putting them up somewhere, there's an awful lot to it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not cheap by any means.
No,
Whoever
no. For
organized
them to
it,
come all the way here.
I don't know who organized it, but it must have cost them a bomb.
Yeah.
Um,
I was so excited when I heard that they were coming, and I'm like, I can't miss this
you can't miss
opportunity.
it. You have to,
And when they
everything
were
has to
coming
be put to
here,
one side. you
Yeah,
know.
that's it. Yeah.
That's the one. It could be a once in a lifetime. Hopefully, it won't be. But but at the time, you think, well, this might be the only opportunity I have here.
Yeah, that's it.
You
Absolutely.
again, you were lucky to see Al because Al sadly passed away.
Yeah,
Al
yeah,
Strobel. So that's nice that
yeah.
you got to
So
see
many
him.
of them have now,
You
unfortunately.
know, and he's a lovely fella. Al was
Oh,
lovely.
I can,
You know,
yeah, just from, listening to him talk, he just seems so
yeah,
lovely and down to earth and so friendly. Just, but they all are. I mean,
they
I
all
don't
are.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, all the ones that I've kind of, obviously the ones that I saw live and whatnot, but just the stories that you hear of them, Dana always seems like really nice. Cheryl Lee, always, if you meet her, she's so gracious and,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that would be really cool to me.
She has the most amazing eyes, Cheryl Lee.
Yeah.
There's something about her eyes that I can't quite put my finger on it. But when you're actually a few feet from her, which I luckily I have been,
Yeah.
at the London Fest over here, she came over one year for that, 10 years back, and I was literally like 2 feet from her at the signing table, um, and spoke to her for quite a while, and um, she had she's got the most compassionate eyes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And
Right.
she is a humanitarian.
Yep.
She does save um the tiger and all these charities and stuff.
Yep.
So she's
Mhm.
incredibly compassionate, empathetic, and it's all in her eyes.
Yeah.
And when
Wow.
she talks to you, she genuinely is it's not like actor fan. It's basically she's interested in you and she's asking you questions about you
Yeah.
rather
Right.
than the other way around.
Okay.
She wants to know about you as a person, and that's really lovely. That's a really
Yeah.
lovely trait to have, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
Gosh.
and
Well,
I
there would have
remember
to
that's what
be
she
because
used to do. That's what she did.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think that'd have to be. I don't think that David Lynch chooses his actors based on maybe the vibe he gets from them in an interview.
yeah,
Like a chat one on one. I believe he doesn't even really audition them. It's more of just a one on one little conversation chat. He kind of discovers things that he has in common with them and vice
yeah,
versa. And that's where he gets his vibe from them. Like, yep, let's just go with this.
yeah,
And so he probably met her and others as well and thought, you know what, we could be friends. I want to have you in this because you just seem like a really nice person. I don't
yeah.
think there's many actors out there that he would choose that would be rude and kind of up themselves and, think that they're so much better than everyone else.
It's rare. I think he's got a very good judge of character,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
most of the people that as you just said, throughout his career, not just Twin Peaks, but the movies he's done as well,
Yeah.
tend to be quite approachable people. I haven't met all that many of them. I met a few. I've been very fortunate to meet a few, and I'm very fortunate to have met a few that was sadly not here anymore. But I was lucky enough to meet them at the time.
Mm.
So I met Catherine Coulson. Um,
Yeah.
I met Al Strobel twice, Catherine twice,
Yeah.
um, Lenny Von Dolan. He's gone as well. That's so sad. He was
Yeah.
only a young man for crying out loud.
I was
Why are
going
they
to say,
dying
because he
young?
was pretty young.
Julie
Yeah.
Cruz, she's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
It saddens me how many are gone since, you
It
know.
is. Peggy Lipton.
Peggy, I never met Peggy, but no, yeah, she's gone. Yeah, you're right.
Mm.
Um, God, it was. I remember that it was that year, wasn't it? There was a certain year where they were going like dominoes.
Oh, yeah. It was probably
Remember
over
that?
a
About
period,
six or
maybe
seven of them in a
18
row.
months. Just gone.
I thought,
Yeah.
what the hell
And you're just
happened
like,
there?
oh,
Yeah, and you haven't you're not even over one, and another one.
I
You know,
know. I know.
it was
It's kind of like for a while there, I was like too scared to kind of open up socials because you just don't want to hear that
I was dreading
Lynch
it.
himself has gone. You just
Yeah,
like, you can't fathom that moment.
yeah.
He recently released that he has emphysema, and I remember reading that, and I'm like, oh God, please don't say it's like terminal cancer or something like that.
No,
You
no,
know what
no,
I mean?
no.
I mean, emphysema is bad enough as it is, but yeah, I can't imagine that moment. It's just,
Yeah, of course,
yeah.
these things go through your head. Of course they do.
Oh, yeah.
We often think the worst. We don't want to, but you do, don't you? A
Yeah.
thousand thoughts go
Yeah.
through your mind about, oh my God, is he really ill? Or because for a while I thought he was, until that
Well, he went
announcement came
quiet for a
out,
while,
he
didn't
had
he?
lost some
Because he hasn't
weight.
even done his weather reports for a
Yeah,
long time. You know, they've
everything
ceased.
just stopped on his channel.
Yeah,
He didn't do anything.
yeah.
And then I remember there were some pictures of him where he seemed to have dropped a lot in weight.
Hmm.
And I was getting concerned and I thought, is he all right?
Yeah, yeah. But I
Um,
mean, marriage problems as well. I think his fourth marriage is over, and then
yeah,
emphysema, that kind of stuff. You know, that's going to kind of, no matter
and
how happy you are with your meditation and you're all doing really
yeah,
well and you're all happy and you focus on the positive things in life, those things are not so great.
and
You know.
probably the bereavements as well because he lost Angelo,
Yes. Oh, yeah, of course.
Julie,
Yeah,
um, John
yeah,
Ness. So all
yeah,
those people that were to do with the music side of things all
yeah.
gone now,
That's it.
all
Yeah,
within about
absolutely.
a year
Yeah,
of each other.
yeah.
So that
And
probably
hard.
hit really hard as well.
Yeah, for
That,
sure.
that would have hit him hard. So
Yeah,
that probably, that added to it, the other things that were going on. Probably had
yeah,
an awful lot to do why he just took a break. You know,
yeah.
it's understandable,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Lots to go through, lots to process.
Until
Yeah.
recently, I don't know if you've heard it, the new stuff he's done with Christabel.
I've seen it because I follow her on socials.
Yeah,
And I've had a little bit of a listen, but admittedly, I haven't been, really too focused on kind
yeah.
of that side of things. But yeah,
They've done a new album together.
yeah.
Yeah. And and I wondered why it was called Cellophane Memories. And I was thinking, is that a nod to the plastic?
Yeah, right.
The wrapped in plastic or something. I don't know if it was a
Yeah,
nod to that. I don't know.
yeah,
I
okay.
just wondered why he called it Cellophane Memories because none of
Yeah,
the songs seem to have any connection to that. I don't know.
okay.
Kind of odd.
Yeah, I'll have to have a listen to it and kind of see for myself.
Yeah. I couldn't hit.
Yeah,
Actually, it was difficult for me I have to be honest with you, it was difficult for me to understand the lyrics.
yeah.
Um, because he's done this technique on the songs where he's multi-layered her voice. So there's like three of her coming at you and from left to right. And so
Oh,
it's sometimes difficult to nail what lyrics she's singing
yeah, right.
because it's too busy.
Yeah, okay.
Because like she'd say something and then the other voice is coming in repeating that line, and they're
Yeah,
kind of dovetailing one another.
yeah,
So
okay.
it's hard to maybe my ears just aren't attuned to that kind of
Yeah, I
mixing.
don't know. Maybe you'll have to Google the lyrics, see what the lyrics
Yeah,
are, so
I
you can
think
kind of follow it.
there probably are lyric videos out there and stuff.
I'll say them.
But I was really and I listened to it several times and I was still trying to pick out what the hell is she singing?
Yeah.
It's got a nice voice and everything. I mean, I love her voice, but
Does
I
he
just
sing
couldn't
on
pick up
it?
on it. It wasn't resonating.
Mhm.
Because of this thing. And he does it all the way through. Every song has got this multi-track vocal.
Oh, really?
And so to me, it was jarring. Other people probably love it, but I don't know. It's just something I'm not getting it for some reason.
Yeah, okay. Does David sing on it?
No, no,
No, he doesn't.
probably because of the emphysema.
True.
Uh,
Yeah. Mm.
uh, um, because I was always hoping he might release a new album of his own, him on it. Because he did release a couple of
Yeah, I was
solo
listening
albums,
to
didn't he?
Crazy Clown Time only like, I don't know, yesterday or something like that.
Yeah, and
I
then he
kind
did
of had it
another
playing
one
while I was
after
getting
that
ready
follow-up
for
called The
dinner.
Big Dream. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then he did this
The day
bonkers one
today.
with Angelo called Fort Gang.
Yeah, yeah.
And a couple of those songs popped up on Fire Walk With Me, A Real Indication. Do you remember that? And
Yes,
The
that's a good
Black Dog
one.
Runs at Night and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But anyway,
great.
they released the album and it had been sitting in the sitting on not released for about 20 odd years or something.
Yeah,
And
right.
it finally got released, I don't know, 5 years back. So it's a full album of Fort Gang.
Yeah,
And mostly the vocal, some of it's instrumental and some of it's Angelo, not singing, but talking. He's kind of doing
yeah,
like a rap kind of,
yeah. Mhm.
a bit like Real Indication. It's kind of the same sort of vocal thing.
Yeah.
But there's one song on there where Lynch is on there vocally, and he's just like screaming, Jack paints it red under a full moon, like that. And it's just this bonkers music, like free
Oh,
jazz
that
going everywhere.
voice. It's so distinct.
That was kind of fun. Yeah, yeah. I love it when I just like it when he brings out anything new,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, waiting for a new film or a TV thing, God knows if we'll ever get that.
Yeah.
But
Look, I think we're done with that. I know we probably thought that prior to the return as well, that
Yeah.
he was never going to happen. But look, it did. But at this point of time, I think with him not really wanting to work outside the house and you
Yeah.
know create
More
a
so
TV show
now.
or a movie, you've got to do that. I don't know how you could not, how you could get away with doing it inside your house, you know. But
There,
I guess that's why he's so talented. He can create art and music and still release
yeah.
that out into the world and, still
It's
kind of fulfill
interesting that
that.
project with Christabel. I think a
Mm.
lot of that was done remotely.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So because in he's very fortunate that he came into some money and had a studio built in his house, a music studio,
Mm-hmm.
so he could record from home anyway. He didn't have to go
Mm.
outside anywhere and do it. He's got all
True.
the
Yeah.
stuff there.
Music wise and stuff. Yeah.
So he could have brought her in to do the vocals, or
Yeah.
it could have been done remotely. I don't know. Um,
Mm.
there are ways around it, I guess, through through the internet that
Yeah.
you can do vocal recordings and that.
Didn't he direct Catherine Coulson through Zoom or something like that? I kind
Yeah,
of
see,
read
it's,
something that he
yeah,
directed her through that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there were ways even back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
I think that
True.
was the same with
Warren Frost.
that's
He would
it.
have
Yeah,
probably done that with Warren
we were
too.
thinking the same thing. Yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
was done somewhere else.
Yeah.
They weren't in the same place at the same time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was meant to be a Skype call, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was in real time. It was
Well, it
supposed to be,
was in the show. It was a Skype.
you're supposed
Yeah.
to be
Skype call.
talking to him on
Yeah.
Skype. Yeah.
Well, it would have been Skype then because Zoom wasn't around when they
So
filmed.
yeah, they
So
were. So we're always kind of in the past with Twin Peaks a wee bit, aren't we?
yeah. Yeah.
Skype,
Yeah.
even the mobile phones they were using were apparently Blackberries.
Oh, really? I didn't even
Yeah.
notice that. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. Now come to think of it, yeah, they would have
So
been. Oh,
it was
that's
always
so
just
cool.
slightly out of
So
time, just
retro.
slightly not,
Yeah.
a few years out,
Yeah.
to
He
kind
doesn't,
of,
I don't think
yeah,
he really wants it set in maybe he just didn't want it set in the present day.
yeah,
Like it obviously was, but even the fashion could really been put not so much in the 50s and 60s and 70s, but
yeah,
it wasn't really distinct. There wasn't anything really that you could go, oh, that particular item would only be, kind of out in the last 12 months or 18 months or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. I didn't actually notice the phones.
That's another thing about it. The 25 years later tagline, I'll see you again in 25 years. Now that was
Yeah.
meant to be what season three was, 25 years later. But there's a question mark over that all the time about the bloody dating thing. It's a bit of a conundrum
Mm.
because you don't quite know if it is exactly 25 years later or whether it's 5 or 6 years difference or because it's not quite in the real time, if you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
so everyone's gets kind of like muddled with it. It's never clear. They never really state when it is, do they? You know.
Yeah. No, they don't.
Even in
Because
the
almost
original series,
Twin
I don't
Peaks
think they
hasn't
stated what year it
really
was. You know.
in is the return when you go back to Twin Peaks, the way it's set, it's almost like no time has changed there.
Yeah.
And then obviously we go into other areas of the world and whatnot, and it kind of has. So yeah, you're right. There's no definitive kind of answer as to how far down the track we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, isn't it? That even though they've grown older, the
Yeah.
people in Twin Peaks, the world seems to have stopped still for them.
Yeah. Stay the
They're still
same.
very much like oldie worldy, the diner's very old style serving and quaint and very much like it
Yeah.
was in the original.
Yeah.
It's like time has kind of stood still, but they've changed obviously through time. But wait, they do,
I think
there are
that's Lynch's
actors
way
that
of
people
kind of
get older,
saying, that, I mean, he
Mm.
loves the 50s. He goes on about how much he
Yeah,
loves the 50s, and how, yes, we change in our views of that time change, but
yeah,
he would love it if we were still there.
yeah,
Twin Peaks is still there. It's still that cornerstone of the show and the thing. And I loved how we go back to that all the time. And, that
yeah,
was one of the biggest things that, kind of stood out for me and that I loved watching it. Is it was great to see all these other new characters, but every time we kind of came back to Twin Peaks, it would be like an
yeah.
element of excitement. It's like, oh, we're back here. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. I love how he did that
You got
and really honored those characters.
any particular favorite episodes or that stand out for you?
Like the whole thing, or just the return, or
That
everything.
out of all of it, really, the original and
I love the scene, and I'm probably not alone here, but the scene where Leland is in the cell
oh
and it all
yeah,
comes out that Bob done it and the sprinklers are going, and that scene where Agent Cooper's on the floor with him.
oh yeah, yeah.
That's the most amazing scene. I can recite it word for word when I'm watching it, and it is the most, no matter how many times I watch it and rewatch it, I never get tired of it. It is the best scene, I think, in the whole everything, all three seasons, I think.
It's really
That was
emotional,
really
isn't
good
it?
compassion. The obviously the realization that, Leland's like, I killed my daughter. And also, Cooper's compassion is really on show there. It's on show a lot, but is just
Oh yeah,
emphasized in that scene. It's just beautiful. It's a gorgeous scene.
it was.
Yeah.
Look into the light, Leland. Look into the light, and all that.
Yeah. It was
Let
really
go.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also they both played it brilliantly. Ray and Kai were
Oh,
excellent in that.
yeah.
Um, but it's just the way what got me was the sudden realization on Leela's face, what he did.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I killed my daughter.
Yeah.
Forgive me, forgive me.
Yeah.
It really does
Especially
hit you.
before, because Bob is very much there. He's
Yeah.
taken control of Leland. He's out there. He's just, he's so evil. And then all of a sudden, yeah, that realization with Leland that, oh my God, this is what I've done.
But sadly, it was too late. I mean, the moment that he kind of like realized what had happened to him, sadly, he dies.
Yeah,
It's, it's a gut
absolutely.
wrencher, really, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Absolutely. It's a beautiful scene. It's
It was
absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
all the things that were leading up to it, with the sprinkler going off and they were all drenched,
the whole thing.
the whole thing
Yeah.
was dramatic and leading to
Yeah.
that, it was all
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you can't keep your eyes off it. It's like the scene where when Maddie is killed. You just want to look away because it's just awful, but
Oh,
you
it is.
can't not look away. You
Yeah.
have to watch every single frame, but you don't want to. It's just that's they're the same. They're the same two level. They're the same level of being such an awesome scenes. But yeah, the one that stands out for me is definitely when Leland dies in the cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
amazing.
funny that one, the one you're mentioning, um, it doesn't get brought up as much as the death of Maddie one would.
Yeah,
The ones they seem to be the recurring ones that people mention.
the
Um,
Maddie one.
yeah, the killing
Yeah,
of Maddie
yeah.
tends to be more what people kind of
Yeah.
bring up in their top five
Well,
or
because it's
three,
so
or.
gruesome. It's such a violent ending for
Yeah.
her, and so just, yeah,
But
very
it's not
gruesome.
just that bit though, Sandra. It's not just the killing part scene. It's all the things that happen before it and after
Yeah,
it. That
yeah,
scene, that thing is about a 10-minute build up of
yeah,
tension
yes.
with the ominous record player getting stuck.
Yeah,
everything's like, oh, you just
yeah,
know
Linda
something's off
looking in the
before you see
mirror
it.
and just, yeah, it's
Something's
quite
not right.
terrifying. Yeah,
That tick, you know, something is just not right. Um, and then all the things that happen in the roadhouse at the same time as this is going on,
yeah.
with the giant appearing and it's happening again, and
And even Bobby Briggs, that scene where something comes over him, he probably doesn't even know what it is, but he
yeah,
all of a sudden is so emotional listening to Julie Cruz sing
yeah,
in the Roadhouse. All of that
all
whole
of
build
that,
up.
and then that horror going on, and then
Yeah,
going back to Cooper just looking up
yeah,
at, in deep thought or something. The whole thing is beautiful.
yeah,
The whole scene works. It's just
yeah,
so beautifully. I, the editing on that is fantastic, as far as
yeah.
I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's beautiful, but it's also really gut-wrenchingly sad as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Tragic what happens to her, and
yeah,
violent. It's everything going on, and the
yeah.
beautiful music as well. The whole thing breaks your bloody heart, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
yeah.
You know,
But that's the beauty of the show. Like,
yeah,
there's so many moments like that. Catherine Colson saying essentially her goodbye.
yeah,
as the log lady. You
Oh
know, the
yeah,
way that that was filmed and the way it was done was just so beautiful. You
it
know, where
was.
that the sun is rising or setting. I'm assuming it's rising after that scene. You know, no matter how many times I've watched that, I cry every time. You know, it's such a beautiful scene to watch. So I think every single, well, all three seasons, you would find an episode that really tugs at the heartstrings and,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, was beautifully done, even though it's sad or it's violent. It's done in such a way that's got a lot of beauty to it as well.
yeah. There's always that part
Yeah.
of it. There
Yeah.
is beauty there, even in the
Mm.
worst case situations. There's some kind of beautiful payoff, if you like, I suppose. Um,
Mm.
but it's amazing when I think
What's
back.
your favorite, Frank? Out of all three, what would be your most
Oh,
favorite scene?
okay. I might go a bit left field here. I mean, that the moments we just spoke about are certainly up there. Without a doubt. I do. I'm as fond of them as the next Twin Peaks fan. I loved the the, I loved everything that happened in the. I loved the Black Lodge. I
Yeah.
love that world.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
happily just
Yeah.
watch that for hours. I wish they just did a whole season with it happening. It's just so crazy and intriguing and fascinating. These characters and that place. I just love it. So the scenes that were happening in the very last episode of season two, a lot of it was set in the Black Lot, and I loved all that.
Yeah.
Every moment I had in there, I was
Yeah.
lapping it up.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Cooper, and he's just sitting there confused by everything. And some of your friends are here, and all that. All that.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, man. I
Yeah.
just adored being in that world.
It's
So
so
anything
left
but
field
Black
and
Lodge,
different. Yeah.
and funny enough, that's how I kind of got hooked in the series because um, I can't remember when I exactly watched it. It would have been 1990, I guess, when it was televised over here. I think we may have been a few months behind America. Um, so they may have seen season one already, and then we got it a bit later than that. I think I can't quite remember what month it went out, but anyway, um, uh, but they were doing a few promotional trailers for it leading up to the premiere. So that was my first time I ever saw anything of it, and they showed a clip of the dancing man in the Michael J. Anderson in his red
Yeah.
suit
Yep.
in the red room, and the flashing light, the strobing lights, and the jazz music, and it's just him doing his little dance that he did. Twin Peaks coming, Wednesday night or whatever. I can't remember when it went out, but anyway,
Yeah.
I think it went out about 9:30 at night though. But and I'm suddenly, what's this? Just a few seconds, that got me intrigued.
Yeah.
That little
Yeah.
clip, I had no idea the
Yeah.
context of it
Yeah.
or anything, and so I tuned in. And of course, he didn't appear till a couple of episodes in. That scene wasn't till episode two or something
Yeah.
when Cooper had the dream of it.
Yeah.
So I was
Mhm.
waiting for him to appear, and he didn't. I thought, did I just imagine all that? Or I got
The
through the
dream.
pilot, and the pilot really did intrigue me. And then episode
Yeah.
one, and then episode
Mm.
two was when the dream sequence happened. And I thought, that's what I remember
Yeah.
from the trailer.
Yeah.
And it was from episode two onwards that I never missed it. I was hooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you can either be hooked on it or you're not. Some people,
I
there's
think so. You either like it from my experience of talking to people about it, you will
yeah,
either mention Twin Peaks and they'll be like, what? Like they have no idea. Or they'll go, oh, yeah, I never got into that.
yeah,
That's been my experience. It's very rare when you find someone to go, oh my God, I love that show. And
yeah,
they almost become your best friend.
yeah.
Like they could be an axe murderer, but they love Twin Peaks. They must be okay. Do you know what I mean? They're killing people for a reason. Just like, do you know what I mean? But it's so rare, but you literally gravitate towards them like, oh my God, I want to be your friend.
Yeah.
That's what my experience is
I
anyway.
think they used to call
But
it
going
the
back to like season three and like favorite scenes,
yeah.
Mr. C.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Like seriously, I mean, I
yeah,
love Cooper, but Mr. C, what a character! Like you did not see that coming. That scene where he's driving down the car and then you see him get out the car, you're like, what the hell is this?
yeah.
Yeah.
He
So
definitely made an entrance, didn't he?
ah,
With that music as well, you know, that
yes, I love that song.
really
Yeah,
kind of it really suited it, didn't it? You know, he's coming
absolutely.
out. This guy's got attitude, you know.
Oh,
Um,
he's just
and he
so
literally
he's
didn't
got
give
that
him.
evil kind of thing, but it's so
Mm,
different. Just so like the polar opposites of Cooper, which I guess
yeah,
he was supposed to be, the bad Cooper. But oh, so cool. I loved every scene with him.
yeah, yeah.
Although
It
I
really,
was dying for Cooper to come back, that scene where he's like, I am the FBI. I screamed and cried and I was jumping up and down. I had to watch it a million times over.
I think every fan was doing,
Yeah.
sh punching the air, you know, at that moment when he came
It was
round, you
so
know,
good. You're just
because we
waiting
waited
for
about
it.
15 episodes for it to happen. You
Oh
know, it's a
God, it was
slow burn.
painful. It was painful to get
It
to that.
was. Sometimes it really was, you know.
Look, I got
Um,
to say, I watched the whole 18 parts and I couldn't watch it for 6 months. I was gutted by
yeah,
18. I was like, this can't be the end. Like, you've just waited so long for this show and this is the way
yeah,
it's going to end. And it killed me.
yeah.
But then when I rewatched it again for a second and third time, you see how amazing it is. And you really do think it's just like a moving
It's
piece of
interesting
art.
in hindsight when you look back on it, how different it is from your first time you saw it.
Yeah.
I find that the pace is quicker now when I look at it.
Yeah.
I put it on, and then suddenly an hour's gone by. I thought, where the hell did that go? But when I
Yeah.
first watched it, some of those hours felt like 10 hours. You know,
Yeah.
they seem so
Well,
slow
well,
and
part eight, for example, part
yeah.
eight was slow
Um,
going.
but they most of them fly by now when I watch them. So
Yeah.
our perception of it's different now.
Yeah.
It's
I think
fascinating now.
also because for 25 odd years, we were all
Yeah,
wanting this. We wanted it. We had built up in our own heads, me included, of what I felt that the characters should, where they should be and
yeah,
what they should be doing. And, you daydream about, what your favorite characters would be. And then you get this and it's so different to what you expected
yeah,
that you just almost kind of gutted, when it gets to that end. And I'm looking at the clock ticking down on that last part. And I'm like, come on, move, like move. Like, why is it going so slow? And then when it ended the way it did, I was like, I can't, I don't, I've got nothing.
They really dragged that
They
anticipation out on that
did.
last one, didn't they? God, that 10 minutes or so felt like forever. You know,
No.
everyone was going, how's this going to end? How's this going to end? I mean, the other side of the coin was, did you ever think, Sandra, about it's been so long since it's been 25 years off the air. The anticipation is great, you know. Did you ever think in your head, what would be the first shot that we'd see? What would be the first scene? You know, because I was always intrigued by that. How would it start? You know,
I don't think I ever really had that in
yeah,
my head. You just always thought about Cooper, he's stuck in the lodge.
yeah,
What's going on there? How is he going to come back? What's not, I don't think I had an idea of where I wanted my favorite characters to be. But I don't even think I thought about that opening scene. All I know is when I did see that opening scene, I still thought it was a joke. I didn't think that this was actually happening.
yeah,
And I think every time an OG character came on, I would just start to cry, and I had to rewind the whole thing to watch it again. I think the first couple of parts I watched like 10 times because I would just cry every time. But it was so yeah, I don't think I had an idea in my head of kind of like what that first opening scene would be. I mean, with David Lynch, you can never kind of predict that kind
yeah.
of thing. How it's going to
It was
be,
great
but
though that it opened with two people from the original. I mean, with Cooper and
yeah.
the
Oh,
Giant.
just
You
I
know,
love the fact that he intermingled the new world with the old, and he kept
yeah,
coming back to that. The music at the end, that was a nice surprise. You kind of didn't really expect that in the
yeah,
first, it was the first or second part, and then obviously there's they're in there for the remainder of it. But I think now when I look back on it and I rewatch it, I just enjoy every single part for what it is.
yeah,
Um, whereas you've got your own preconceived ideas of, I don't think I had an exact idea of what I thought that, the return would be. but I didn't think it would end the way that it did. I thought it would be a little bit more, and I should have known that. I mean, watching so many David Lynch films and being
Yeah.
a fan, it's going to not be the way that you think it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be at the end. But I was still surprised. But I think I was just so grateful. I remember finding out, reading, David Lynch put that tweet up saying it's happening again. And I was heavily pregnant with my son. And
Yeah.
I remember I was like screaming, and my husband's going, "Can you calm down?" I don't need to go and tell
Yeah.
you, but I was so happy. I was absolutely thrilled. I didn't care how it was going to start, finish, what the plot was going to be. I just didn't
Yeah.
care. I was so thrilled to be kind of back in that world, and loved all those characters that came back. And how cool is it that Briggs is a deputy? It did not see that coming when he turned around. I was like, oh my God, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
When you saw that ending, that very final bit at the end of the season three, the final shot, with Cheryl screaming, and him, Cooper looking around, going, "What year is this?" And all that stuff, and then the lights go out in the house and all that. Do you think that was? What's your take on it? Do you think it's a happy ending or a bad one?
I don't think it's a good ending. I don't. I think it's like the start of something ominous.
Yeah,
It didn't have a good feel to it. It certainly didn't. Even though I've watched it 2 or 3 times now, every time it gets to that part, there's this ominous kind of
mm,
feeling. Like I can't explain it. Like there's so many. I mean, you read so many different theories that people have.
yeah,
Some of them I read and I'm like, wow, that does make a lot of sense. And others I go, no, that's a bit too far fetched. I'm not someone that can sit there and go, oh, I think this is what happened. And you just have that feeling that it's not good,
yeah,
you know? Like I don't know, it's like he's tried so hard to save her, or save a part of himself or something like that. But he's overstepped the mark now, or he's overstepped some boundary or something, and now he's going to be punished for that in some way, shape, or form. I don't know, but it's not good either way.
yeah,
I don't see a happy ending for Cooper and
yeah.
Laura or whoever she was.
Yeah, who
Not a good.
it's this different name, isn't it? Carrie Page, and this
Yeah,
different persona.
yeah,
We don't really know that much about her.
that's it.
I think
Has he
people were hoping
dragged
that it would
her
come
in
back.
thinking she's Laura, and he's
Yeah,
dragged her, this innocent person, with him to
yeah,
some help?
yeah.
I don't know,
I
But
think
then what
people
was
were
he
hoping
hiding
that
from? It was just, yeah.
if season four, I mean, everyone's kind of wanting to set as season four. I would assume, although he may, if he did do it, I mean, if, and it's a big if. With his health now, it seems more unlikely than it would have been a few years ago. Um, but if he did do it or had some hand in it, um, I wonder if they would go off in a completely different tangent, or whether they would continue with the Carrie, Page, and Cooper or Richard or whatever the hell he is iteration and go off in that world. You know, what do you did you ever think about that? What do you think would have happened or would happen if it did go, continue? Or would it just go back to Twin Peaks and explore
I
that?
think it would somehow go back to Twin Peaks, but it wouldn't necessarily be like a continuation. Like it wouldn't start there at that final scene and then continue on. I think it would start somewhere obscure, somewhere that doesn't have anything to do with that last scene.
Yeah,
And it would be like this, maybe different characters that have come into play, and then maybe you would get hints along the way as to how Cooper and Carrie Page kind of come into it. But I don't think it would be based there. I don't think it would start there. It wouldn't be like that continuation.
yeah,
Just, I have that feeling that from Lynch, he would do it in a way that is just, it would almost keep us coming back, wanting to kind of like know more about Cooper and Carrie Page, and whereabouts are they? But I don't think we're going to get it. I think
yeah.
I'm pretty, yeah.
I
I think we need to see season 3 as being this incredible gift that we never thought we would ever get. Um, but it would be nice just to, I think it's kind of nice to leave it the way it is, you know.
Do you know, I kind of lean on that side of things. I can understand why people want more of it. You know, they were very intrigued by the new iteration of it, and it brought new characters into it, and we were fascinated by them. Many of these characters only appeared in ones, and they never came back to them again.
Yeah.
You know, they just they're in a random scene and they're never seen again.
Yeah.
But they had an impact. You know, those lesser characters are just as important, in my opinion. And you're intrigued and you
Absolutely.
want to know more about them, and you know, who were they? Or what,
Yeah. And we're
you know,
conditioned really to get the answers for everything. We want
yeah,
everything wrapped up in a tight little bow,
yeah,
and we love these characters so much. We just want to see their happy ending, or we want to see what kind of happened to them.
yeah,
But I don't know, after the couple times now I've watched it, I'm kind of happy with the way that it is.
yeah. I am
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's got kind of an open-ended ending, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
literally could, it's left open that it could continue, or it just, that's it, you know.
Just
It
stops.
depends how you want to look at it, really, you know.
Yeah. But
And I
then you
think
know
it's
what?
better
He
that way.
creates something else, a season four. He would
Mm.
then create more of an epic cliffhanger, would be then wanting it's never going to end. So
Yeah,
maybe it's best that we just leave it here, you know,
yeah.
and then we all talk about it, you know, years
That's the
later.
thing, you see. I mean, look, I mean, the original series, those two seasons and Fire Walk with Me, we're still talking about them 30 years later.
Yes. Oh,
Now,
yeah.
season three, we'll be talking about that 30 years later. That's a
Oh,
guarantee. And
yeah.
we'll still be
Yeah.
finding new things to talk about there that
Mm.
we haven't seen. You know, we missed, you know, there's details.
Yeah.
There's a lot of details that are there that when you
Yeah.
look at it again, you see again, like the original, you see new things and you get new theories. And, you know, it's going to be discussed and dissected for years,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
just as
Yeah.
much as the originals were. I promise you that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it
Probably
will.
even more so, you know,
Yeah,
it was so season three was very different to one and two.
it
It
was.
was
Yeah.
cinematography, just, you know, the characters. It was very Fire Walk with Me, I thought, you know,
Yeah.
in some
It was
instances.
quite it was quite dark. It was much darker, wasn't it, in
It
most cases?
was.
There wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of
So
humorous bits in it, you know.
yeah.
It wasn't like season two where you had all the funny characters coming in and that, you know.
Yeah, that was, you know, a lot of comedy was in season two, I
It was
thought.
definitely a darker take, you
Yeah.
know.
So
Yeah.
it was definitely along those lines, but yeah, I just it's kind of nice to know that it'll just hang out there for people to watch and other generations to kind of come forward and discover it and watch it and go, wow, that was really cool. And
Yeah.
um, sometimes it's nice just to not have that perfect ending and just to really love it and enjoy it for what it is. You
Yeah.
know, I think season three out of all of them, definitely my favorite, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming I remember when I mean I watched it all when it was first shown on that, you know, back in 2017. But then after it, I kind of had a bit of for want of a better word, kind of Twin Peaks jet lag from it. Um,
Mm.
and I distanced myself for quite a long time and I didn't rewatch for quite a period of time. Uh, because some of it at the time, not now, I've reevaluated and I really do like it a lot more now. But at the time, some of it polarized me a wee bit, you know.
Mm.
Um, and I found it some of it quite difficult to watch.
Yeah.
But I've been like getting back into watching it again, and I've watched like, you know, five, six, seven episodes of it. Um, and I look at it's almost like fresh eyes watching it again.
Yeah. Mm.
And you see things that you missed. And
Yeah.
it's the pace seems to be more quicker than what I remember.
Yeah.
It's not as slow as I thought.
Mhm.
It's strange the passing of time. You have a different kind of take on it, you know, and
Mm.
I appreciate it more now than probably what
Yeah.
I did the first time round, you know.
I think because we don't have the anxiousness, I don't know about you, but kind of after 25 years of wanting it, there's this anxiousness,
Yeah,
you know, around watching it and being gifted this kind of thing that you've wanted for so long. You're
yeah,
anxious throughout the whole time,
yeah,
you know, so you don't really enjoy it. I kind of equate it to parenting. Like, so I look back on my like Elliot's younger years, and I'm like, oh God, I really wish that I just sat and enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But this is the same. It's kind of like you watch every single episode and you've got your expectations, and they might be falling short a little bit, and then you're just anxious the whole time, and then you get to the end, and then you do need to take a little bit of a step away, and then you come back and you just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
This incredible moving piece of art that and a gift that we were given that we never thought we'd get. And you can enjoy it and laugh and kind of see all those things that you didn't see in the first two or three viewings. So I think that's kind of natural. I think a lot of fans would probably say the same thing, that the first watch was just you're anxious, and there's so much to see too, and so much to kind of try and take in. And
Yeah.
those people that like to analyze it would be writing down, or kind of all these little things that they've seen to try and kind of make sense of it. The second and third time, you're just enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So I have to I'll ask the ultimate question to wrap this up, Sandra. Why do you love Twin Peaks?
It's so different to anything, even now. The amount of movies I've watched. I love movies, I love TV shows, and there's nothing out there that is remotely even on par with Twin Peaks. There's the whole X-Files thing or whatever, shows will come out and they'll be like, it's got that Twin Peaks vibe. It will never have a Twin Peaks vibe. David Lynch stands alone in what he creates, and I just love it for its, originality. There's nothing else, nothing can imitate it. And, yeah, that's why I love it. And I just keep coming back to it. And I can't believe that I've been a fan for over 30 years. And it's just something I get really excited about. This has been great. I don't have anyone really to talk to about Twin Peaks about. So this has been really quite good to be able to bring back all those kind of feelings and go, oh my God, I love that show. I'm going to have to rewatch it again from
You're going to have to get those DVDs out again.
I will. I'm going to get them out and start rewatching them from
have a binge watch. Yeah, have a whole weekend watch all three seasons and Firewalk Me in, and then
absolutely
then take a week.
I'll be crazy by the end of it, but
you will go do Lally by the end of it. You'll probably start hallucinating and all sorts.
Probably.
Because you won't get lack of sleep and stuff like that. So you'll have to have lots of David Lynch coffee to keep you awake.
I will definitely need a lot of
lots of sugar fix, cherry pie and all that.
That's it.
You'll be high as a kite from caffeine and sugar.
Absolutely. I'll be jittery. Go crazy.
You'll be a nervous wreck. But it would be a good experience, or regardless. But thanks for talking to me, Sandra. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me.
It's been great. It's been nice to go down memory lane.
It has. Yeah, it's been good.
With our favorite show, Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And I think it's a real bond, I think, with Twin Peaks fans.
Yeah.
Like we've just got that collective that bond, even if you don't know that person, you don't know it, these people, but when you read articles and people are talking about it, you're just like, you're kind of my kind of person.
Even though, sadly, we are so spread out across the world that we can't just pop around and have a cup of tea together. It's so sad that everyone's so far away. That's the sadness of it. It's nice that we can communicate like this.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be wonderful if we could talk to each other in the same bloody room?
Yes,
but it's
absolutely,
impossible.
I know.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So technology.
Sorry.
I was just saying, thankfully, technology has come. This is a miracle, a little miracle, really, isn't it? That we can talk thousands of miles away from one another.
I know. Yeah.
It's extraordinary. You're on the other side of the world, for God's sake. Halfway around the world in Australia, and I'm here in London.
That's it. You're just starting your day, and I'm kind of winding mine up.
It's kind of bonkers when you think about it.
But it's cool. It's good.
But it's
I'm
great.
glad we're able to do it.
It's awesome. And we've got a lot of other people coming up too, fellow friends, for future episodes of this. So stay tuned, as they say.
I will. Yeah.
But for now, my darling, thank you so much for talking to me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me to have a chat. It's been great.
I appreciate it very much. Hold on there, because we'll say goodbye afterwards. But just for the benefit of people watching, thank you all for watching. And of course, we'll have to say the immortal words. We'll see you in the trees.